So, Nintendo's the one company that is really good at making a whole bunch of random stuff, and this random stuff and gadgets and gizmos is Nintendo Switch Mouse. Now, Nintendo Switch Mouse is a really interesting concept from Nintendo because if you look at the trailer, you can see those Joy-Cons sliding around the table like mice. Now, how will this be used on the Nintendo Switch 2? Now, you may argue that it might not be mouse, it might be they're showing the really nice slidiness of the Joy-Cons for whatever reason. They gotta really show that it can slide because they're gonna be playing some air hockey for Joy-Cons nowadays. Hey, that's a pretty good argument, but I don't know. For this video, I'm gonna stick to the idea that they look like mice and you might be able to use them to play some kind of game that requires a mouse. It's a pretty interesting concept by Nintendo over here. Now, one thing that this could be useful for is maybe turning your Nintendo Switch into a desktop computer. Now, it might not be the most ideal way to use a computer, but it's possible. Because you can most likely get yourself your beautiful Nintendo Switch Joy-Con, use that thing as a mice, like the top button there. If you put it on the side, the top button, usually the trigger button, will most likely be the clicky mouse button. Anyways, that's probably how it's going to be. But also, it could be useful for maybe you could plug in a keyboard or something inside the Nintendo Switch and use it exactly like it would, like a kind of broken down little computer. It's a possibility. It's a little bit of a possibility. I'm thinking how this would be useful for. Let's just say you want to watch YouTube or something. Hey, if you want to watch YouTube, consider to try out watching one of these videos on your Nintendo Switch 2. But anyways, let's get back into it. So yeah, you use your Nintendo Switch mouse to watch YouTube with a keyboard instead of using the controller. I mean, it's a pretty interesting thought. Now, another thing that this could be useful for is maybe drawing games. Now, you know how there's a couple drawing games, and if you wanted to play them on TV, it's a little hard to draw with a controller. What if you're using that for a mouse, and you want to, draw? You want to be an artist, a professional artist with your beautiful Nintendo Switch. So instead of getting a computer, you're like, I love the Nintendo Switch. All the games are great, and I'm going to get the second one because it's got a mouse. So yeah, you can become a professional artist with your beautiful mouse. Anyways, now, these are a couple things that are pretty interesting, but things that might actually come true to Nintendo Switch at a certain degree would be a port of some games. Like, games that you need a mouse, or you can use a controller, but it's a little bit harder. So, if you know any of those games, yeah, because to my extended knowledge, I am only thinking of console games for some reason. Yeah, so anyways, maybe we're going to see some ports of games. Now, there have been rumors about Halo making coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, this is a possibility because Microsoft really wants to extend their relation to other companies, which makes sense because if you get other companies to, take your game in for having a fun time on their console, then your game will sell more. So just maybe we can see Halo on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's a possibility because, it would be pretty awesome to see Halo come to the Switch 2. Alright, so another thing that maybe this mouse would be useful for is family fun games. Alright, so you know how Mario Party has these certain games that you use the Joy-Con and you do stuff with the Joy-Con anyways. What if there was some mini games or even the full game as a whole? You play the game with the mouse. When mini games come up, maybe you have to, you're searching a bowl of cereal for your specific color, and you gotta drag it. Now, it might be easier just to use a controller at that point, but if you buy two, or like another pair of Joy-Cons that come with the Switch 2, you get the little thing, and maybe it's easier for you to sit on a table and do that. I mean, sit at a table. That's what I completely meant. Another thing that this could be useful for is maybe playing a little game of chess. You want to use a mouse for that. I think controller sticks work fine, but hey, maybe your controller just, you like, sliding that boy all over the table. Hey, there's no judgment there because, mouses are good for one thing, controllers are good for one thing. It's completely up to you. And, yeah, I think Mario Party would be a pretty good idea for this. Now, there's one thing that I might say, this is a pretty interesting concept, but it's a possibility why they added a mouse. It's a possibility. Alright, so, games that require mouses and keyboards, maybe you can play games with a mouse and a keyboard. It's a really interesting concept. Maybe Nintendo will sell a mouse and a keyboard. Maybe it'll be as powerful as a PlayStation 5. It's a possibility. It could be very possible. I don't know. This is very grain of salt-like. Am I right? Thumbs up if you agree. Alright, so one thing that I think that would be pretty interesting would be to play The Legend of Zelda on you get 2 mouses. Or you know what? I think I got it. I nailed it down what the mouse is used for. So, you see, you take your 2 mouses. You got 2, so you got a mice at this point. You got 2 of them. And you sit on the table and you gotta do some exercises, alright? You're sliding that thing. Maybe, because Ring Fit Adventure was a pretty good game. Because you're like, Ring Fit, boom, 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 and you're doing all of this stuff. It's kind of just like playing Beat Saber late at night. You're like, having a great time with that. Yeah, so I just think that maybe it's a possibility. Now, in terms of Nintendo Switch Mouse VR, it's a possibility. Now, the Nintendo Switch, if you're not aware, does support VR. But pretty much every single console in this day and age has to have VR at some point. Now, what if we get some Beat Saber? Or some kind of Beat Saber ripoff or something on the Nintendo Switch. Just slide your mouse left and right. Instead of standing up, you can lie down. It's a possibility. Now, this would be a pretty interesting idea because then you can just slide your mouse left and right. Alright, another thing that you think the mouse would be useful for is maybe just exploring the menus. Now, if your controller is dead, even though it uses the same controller, so I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, but anyways, if your controller, you don't feel like putting it together and using the Joy-Con stick, you can slide it left and right. Now, there's a possibility that this is not a mouse whatsoever, because honestly, I have no idea what a mouse would be useful for. If you're not going to bring the computer games or whatever, I don't think a mouse would even be that useful. Am I wrong or am I wrong? Because I think that maybe we got it completely different. Maybe it's some kind of IR sensor that maybe it could be something like a VR remote or something. I don't know, it's a possibility, but yeah, what do you think about this? What do you think that the mouse will be useful for on the Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would really love to know because honestly, it really got me stumped. I have no idea what the mouse is going to be useful for on the Switch 2. It's a pretty interesting concept ideas, but yeah, let me know. And honestly, I hope you have a fantastic day. Consider to hit the big old like button or the subscribe button. Help me out. I would really, really appreciate it. I really want you to have a fantastic day. And consider to drop a comment on what you think about all this Nintendo nonsense. What do you think about the mouse? Is the mouse actually going to be a mouse? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And with that being said, have a fantastic day and see you in the next one. Woo!